On day 2 of his visit to Israel, Prime Minister Modi holds talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog. The two sides signed multiple agreements, including a key agricultural pact. They also announced that a free trade agreement between India and Israel will be concluded soon. In his address to the Israeli parliament, Prime Minister Modi says India stands firmly with Israel following the 2023 terror attack by Hamas. Netanyahu says Prime Minister Modi is more than a friend, he is a brother. A furious Supreme Court orders a blanket ban on an NCERT textbook that contains a chapter on corruption in the judiciary. Calling it a deep-rooted conspiracy, the court says heads must roll. A dramatic turf war erupts as Delhi police clash with Himachal Pradesh police over the arrest of some youth Congress workers. The Himachal police detained for several hours the Delhi police team that had gone to Shimla and charged them with kidnapping the activists. At the UN Human Rights Council, India tears into Pakistan for spreading misinformation about the development of Jammu and Kashmir, says Pakistan must be hallucinating or living in La La Land if it finds it hard to believe in Indian territory's development, whose budget is more than twice the recent bailout package that Islamabad sought from the International Monetary Fund. Business tycoon Anil Ambani is questioned by the Enforcement Directorate in Delhi. His Mumbai mansion worth 3,716 crore rupees is attached by the agency under the anti-money laundering law. The World Economic Forum chief resigns over alleged Epstein links. Photos of late physicist Stephen Hawking emerge in the Epstein files. Hawking can be seen flanked by two bikini-clad women while reclining on a sun lounger. His family says the women were Hawking's long-term carers as he needed constant medical support. Meanwhile, Bill Gates admits to 2 affairs with Russian women, calling it a huge mistake, but insists he was not involved in any of Jeffrey Epstein's illicit activities. In a huge setback to the makers of the Kerala Story 2, the Kerala High Court stops the release of the controversial film, which was set to be released in theatres tomorrow. The court says the censor board cleared the film without applying its mind. It's official, film stars Vijay Deverakonda and Rashmika Mandanna get married as per Telugu tradition in Udaipur. Fans eagerly wait for the official pictures of the wedding. Prime Minister Modi sends his blessings to the newlyweds. Hello and welcome to the Times of India. You're watching Headlines at 8 with me, Neha Khanna. Our top story. It was day 2 of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's high-profile state visit to Israel, his second trip to the country as India's leader. Prime Minister Modi held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli President Isaac Herzog. The two sides have signed multiple agreements, including a key agricultural pact. They also announced that India and Israel will soon conclude a free trade agreement. The visit is aimed at deepening trade and defence ties between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi has become the first Indian leader to address the Knesset, that's the Israeli parliament. Describing Prime Minister Modi as more than a friend, Netanyahu showered praise on his Indian counterpart and thanked him for standing by Israel after the Hamas attack of October 7, 2023. Prime Minister Modi was amongst the first world leaders to condemn the deadly attacks by Hamas. Ahead of Prime Minister Modi's address to the Knesset, Netanyahu said, Prime Ministers and heads of state come to the Knesset and it's always an exciting moment for all of us. But my dear friend Narendra, I'm especially moved by your visit. You are a great friend of Israel and a great leader on the world stage. Narendra, you are more than a friend, you are a brother. The personal chemistry between the two leaders has been on display, including in the Knesset, with long hugs and standing ovations from the assembled crowd and lawmakers. Netanyahu said, at the airport, we embraced each other. It's called a Modi hug. I want to return a hug here from every Knesset member. It represents the warmth between us. Israel then conferred Prime Minister Modi with the Speaker of the Knesset Medal, the highest honor of the Israeli parliament, in recognition of his leadership in strengthening and deepening the strategic ties between India and Israel. During his address to the Knesset, Prime Minister Modi said, "Let us ensure that the friendship between India and Israel remains a source of strength in an uncertain world." He told lawmakers in Jerusalem that India stands firmly with Israel following Hamas's attack. He said, and I quote, "I carry with me the deepest condolences of the people of India for every life lost and for every family whose world was shattered in the barbaric terrorist attack by Hamas. We feel your pain, we share your grief. India stands firmly with Israel with full conviction in this moment and beyond." That's what he said. Today, Prime Minister Modi visited the Yad Vashem, Israel's official memorial to the victim of the Holocaust. India-Israel relations have grown under Prime Minister Modi, whose embrace of Israel has marked a shift in the foreign policy of India, which has historically supported the Palestinians. India did not establish full diplomatic ties with Israel until 1992. This visit comes at a time when war clouds are looming over Iran with a massive US military build-up in the region. Also, Israel is currently facing international isolation and scathing criticism for its 2-year-long war in Gaza, where at least 70,000 Palestinians, including scores of women and children, were killed. Many around the world, including the United Nations, have accused Israel of carrying out a genocide in Gaza.
आज हमने क्रिटिकल एंड इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजी पार्टनरशिप स्थापित करने का निर्णय लिया है। इससे एआई, क्वांटम और क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स जैसे क्षेत्रों में सहयोग को नई गति मिलेगी। मुझे खुशी है कि इजरायल में यूपीआई के इस्तेमाल के लिए समझौता किया गया है। डिजिटल हेल्थ के क्षेत्र में भी हम अपने अनुभव साझा करते हुए लोगों के जीवन में सुधार लाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध हैं। रक्षा के क्षेत्र में हमारा दशकों पुराना विश्वसनीय सहयोग रहा है। पिछले वर्ष हुए एमओयू से इसमें नए आयाम जुड़ेंगे। हम मिलकर ज्वाइंट डेवलपमेंट, ज्वाइंट प्रोडक्शन और ट्रांसफर ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी की दिशा में आगे बढ़ेंगे। साथ ही हम सिविल न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी और स्पेस जैसे क्षेत्रों में भी सहयोग आगे बढ़ाएंगे। फ्रेंड्स, दोनों देशों के बीच कृषि सहयोग का लंबा और सफल इतिहास रहा है। आज हमने इस सहयोग को फ्यूचरिस्टिक दिशा देने का संकल्प लिया है। इजरायल के सहयोग से भारत में स्थापित सेंटर्स ऑफ एक्सीलेंस हमारी मित्रता के उत्तम उदाहरण है। इनकी सफलता देखते हुए हमने इनकी संख्या 100 तक ले जाने का 100 तक ले जाने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है। इस दिशा में एक कदम और बढ़ाते हुए विलेजेस ऑफ एक्सीलेंस बनाने पर भी काम कर रहे हैं। इससे इजरायली टेक्नोलॉजी भारत के गांव-गांव तक पहुंचेगी और लाखों किसानों की आय और उत्पादकता में बहुत बढ़ोतरी होगी। हम मिलकर फ्यूचर रेडी फार्मिंग सॉल्यूशंस भी विकसित करेंगे।
This is an amazing visit, an amazing conclusion to an amazing visit. It was short, but extraordinarily productive and also extraordinarily moving. I think there wasn't a dry eye left in Israel after your moving statement yesterday in the Knesset. And I can tell you that since then we've had also the opportunity to not look all deep into our hearts, but also into our remarkable minds that we have in our two countries. We saw an exhibit of innovation that excites imagination beyond belief. We spoke about cooperation with the extraordinarily talented people of India and our people, and we're working this into concrete plans.
This was not just diplomacy. This was symbolism, spectacle, and strategy rolled into one powerful day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi made history by becoming the first Indian Prime Minister to address Israel's parliament, the Knesset. As he rose to speak, chants of Modi, Modi echoed through the house. It was a rare moment. It reflected the warmth that Israel has shown him from the very start of this visit. The welcome was not limited to applause. Knesset Speaker Amir Ohana greeted him in Hindi. Even the leader of the opposition, Yair Lapid, welcomed him warmly. That bipartisan reception stood out. In a deeply divided political climate, India's Prime Minister drew unity. Then came what is now being called car diplomacy. Prime Minister Modi posted a picture on social media. In it, he is seated beside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The two leaders are smiling as they travel together to a technology exhibition. No stiff convoy image, no distant wave, just two leaders sharing a car. But there was another striking visual before the private dinner. Benjamin Netanyahu was seen wearing a traditional Indian-style jacket as he greeted Prime Minister Modi. It was a subtle yet powerful gesture. It showed cultural acknowledgement, it showed warmth, it showed intent. A rousing reception in Parliament, bipartisan praise, selfies with lawmakers, a shared car ride, and a surprise wardrobe nod. From India's perspective, this was a confident moment on the global stage. It showed that New Delhi's partnerships in West Asia are deep, visible, and personal. Day one was not just about speeches, it was about signals.
A chapter on judicial corruption has invited the wrath of the Supreme Court and a blanket ban on an NCERT book. The top court took offence to a chapter in the Class 8 NCERT social science textbook that talked about the judiciary in India being plagued by corruption and massive backlog of pending cases. The Supreme Court was furious and termed it a deep-rooted conspiracy. After being pulled up, the NCERT told the court that it was immediately withdrawing the newly released textbook and putting a stop to its sale. It also issued an apology saying the error was unintentional and this portion would be rewritten. But it wasn't enough to soothe the anger of the apex court, which decided to bar the sharing of the content and ordered a complete ban on the publication and distribution of the textbook in question, which had been introduced under the government's new national education policy. Not only that, the Supreme Court has also issued a show cause notice to the Secretary of School Education in the Ministry of Education as well as the NCERT director. The court said heads must roll. At the heart of the controversy is a chapter titled The Role of the Judiciary in Our Society in a textbook that was released on the 24th of February. It included references to corruption in the judiciary, a heavy backlog of cases, and an inadequate number of judges. The matter was brought to the Supreme Court's notice by senior lawyer Kapil Sibal. A furious Chief Justice Suryakant took suo motu notice and said the court will not allow anyone to defame the institution. The court told Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, who appeared for the NCERT, "We would like to have a deeper probe. We need to find out who's responsible. Heads must roll. We won't close this case." The court sought details about the members of the National Syllabi Board who wrote the chapter on the judiciary. The court then added that its directions were not to stifle legitimate criticism of the judiciary. Reacting to the NCERT's clarification, the court said the choice of words in the book did not seem like a bona fide error. It seems to us that there is a calculated move to undermine institutional authority and demean the dignity of the judiciary. That's what the court said. This comes close on the heels of the centre revealing that the Office of the Chief Justice of India received around 7,500 complaints against judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts between 2016 and 2025. They had gone to arrest the protesters and ended up getting detained themselves. There was high drama as a Delhi police team landed in Shimla to arrest 3 members of the Youth Congress in connection with the shirtless protest staged at the AI summit last week. In the 24-hour stalemate that followed between the Delhi police team and the Himachal Pradesh police, the Delhi police team was detained for about 5 hours after they procured the transit remand of the 3 activists. It was only early this morning that the Delhi police team was cleared to head back to the national capital along with the activists they had arrested. On Wednesday, the Himachal Pradesh police registered a kidnapping case against the Delhi police personnel and first detained their vehicles at the Shogi border near Shimla. This happened while they were en route to Delhi. Earlier today, the Delhi police team itself was detained. They were told that while some of the personnel could return to the national capital along with the accused they had arrested, the remaining members of the team would have to stay behind and cooperate with the investigation into the kidnapping case registered against them. The Shimla police also asked the Delhi police to hand over the copy of the digital evidence they possessed. The Delhi police insisted that the safety of the 3 accused was their responsibility and that they would not leave any of their members behind. Around 4 a.m. at the Shogi border, the Delhi team was detained by the Shimla police. The Shimla police also barricaded a vehicle belonging to the Delhi police. During the standoff, the Shimla police asked for the keys to the barricaded vehicle, but the Delhi police refused to hand them over. The Shimla police claimed the arrests that had been made by the Delhi police were illegal. The Delhi police said they had the necessary approvals. Both accused each other of obstructing the investigation. It was only 5 hours later that the Delhi police team was finally allowed to leave.
An extraordinary face-off between 2 state police forces has triggered serious questions about federal protocol, jurisdiction, and political trust. What began as an arrest operation has now escalated into cross-FIRs, detentions, and a public standoff between Himachal Pradesh police and Delhi police. The flashpoint was Rohru in Himachal's Shimla district. According to Shimla police, 15 to 20 men in plain clothes arrived at a resort in Mandali village and allegedly took away 3 youth Congress workers, Arbaz, Siddharth and Saurabh. Police say the men also seized a Mahindra Thar and removed CCTV DVR equipment without issuing any seizure memo. An FIR was promptly registered at Chirgaon police station alleging abduction. But the men in plain clothes were not unidentified operatives. They were officers from Delhi police acting on a Delhi FIR. When Himachal police got wind of the operation, they set up a checkpoint at Dharampur in Solan district. The Delhi team, along with the 3 detained youth Congress workers, was stopped and detained. The situation quickly turned into an interstate confrontation. Delhi police produced documents before the Shimla district court arguing they were carrying out lawful arrests linked to a protest case in the national capital. Himachal authorities countered that they had not been informed in advance, calling the operation illegal and a violation of established procedure. The court allowed Delhi police to proceed with the 3 accused. Medical examinations were arranged at Deen Dayal Upadhyay Hospital in Shimla. The plan was to produce them before the Shimla Chief Judicial Magistrate and seek transit remand to Delhi.
अरेस्टर इनको हिमाचल में जो रोडू जगह आती है, रोडू में वहाँ से अरेस्ट किया इनको आज मॉर्निंग में 5:30-6 बजे। तो उसके बाद ही शिमला लेके आए थे। तो अभी इनका मेडिकल तो नहीं हुआ है अभी, तो अभी मेडिकल करवाना है इन्होंने जी। ठीक है। तो अभी कौन से कोर्ट में किसके रेजिडेंस में पेश? अभी ACGM 2 नंबर कोर्ट है जो शिमला के श्री एकांश जी, इनकी वहाँ पर रेजिडेंस में पेश किया है। आपकी क्या दलील थी? आपने किनको रिप्रेजेंट किया है? हमारा तो क्लियर कट ऑब्जेक्शन है जी। हमारी एप्लीकेशन है कि जो ये अरेस्ट है ये भी इलीगल अरेस्ट है इनका। ठीक है। कोई प्रॉपर प्रोसीजर लेआउट जो इनको करना चाहिए था इन्होंने वो नहीं किया है और देयर आर सर्टेन एम्बिग्विटीज, तो उसी लिए हमने एप्लीकेशन करी है। ये जिनको आपने रिप्रेजेंट किया उनके नाम भी जानना चाहेंगे? वो ये है मिस्टर सिद्धार्थ है, एक मिस्टर सौरभ हैं और तीसरे हैं मिस्टर अरबाज। 3 लोग थे, 3 लोग अरेस्ट किए थे हमने। सो आर यू होपफुल जो आपकी दलील है? यस डेफिनेटली। बाकी देखते जो दिल्ली पुलिस ने क्या ट्रांजिट रिमांड मांगा है? हाँ जी, ट्रांजिट रिमांड मांगा है। इनके पास समय भी कम रह गया है, मुश्किल से अभी टाइम हो गया इस समय इनका 12:30 का, इनके पास मुश्किल से 4 घंटे बचे हैं अभी।
पहले वो कह रहे थे सीज किया है,
वो है नहीं इनके पास ना, कर नहीं सकते ना सर। ऑलरेडी हमने जो चीज ऑलरेडी डीवीआर हमने सीज कर रखा है, और आप उसके सस्पेशन पे कि डीवीआर चोरी हुआ है, विच वाज ऑलरेडी सीज्ड बाय अस, हमने डॉक्यूमेंट सप्लाई कर रखा है। आप उसको सर्च करने के लिए मेरी गाड़ी कैसे सीज कर सकते हो? पॉसिबल नहीं सर। नहीं है, ठीक है, हमें मेरे पास अक्यूज बैठा हुआ है, हर गाड़ी में एक अक्यूज है, सिक्योरली प्रोड्यूस करना है उसको, दैट्स इट। प्लीज अब इसको छोड़ दें, वो भी काम कर रहे हैं हम।
India slammed Pakistan at the UN Human Rights Council for spreading misinformation about the development of Jammu and Kashmir. Speaking at the 61st session of the UNHRC, India's representative Anupama Singh said Pakistan must be hallucinating or living in La La Land if it finds it hard to believe in Indian territory's development, whose budget is more than twice the recent bailout package that Islamabad sought from the International Monetary Fund. India also rejected allegations made by Pakistan and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, stating that the group has allowed itself to be used as an echo chamber for Islamabad. Singh said, and I quote, "If the Chenab rail bridge, the world's highest bridge inaugurated in Jammu and Kashmir last year, is fake, then Pakistan must be hallucinating or living in La La Land. We categorically reject these allegations. Pakistan's incessant propaganda now reeks of envy." Singh asserted New Delhi's stand on Jammu and Kashmir, saying it was, is and will always remain an integral and inalienable part of India. The only outstanding dispute regarding this region is the illegal occupation of Indian territories by Pakistan. Responding to criticism on democratic processes, Anupama Singh said it was hard to take lectures on democracy from a country where civilian governments rarely complete their terms. Singh also accused Pakistan of attempting to destabilize the region through relentless state-sponsored terrorism, while asserting that Jammu and Kashmir continues to progress politically, economically and socially.
Mr. President, India is compelled to exercise its right of reply in response to references made to it during the high-level segment by Pakistan and the OIC. We categorically reject these allegations. The OIC, by parroting Pakistan's propaganda, only reveals how deeply it has allowed itself to be co-opted by one member, reducing itself to an echo chamber for one country's political compulsions. Pakistan's incessant propaganda now reeks of envy. We have no desire to dignify such propaganda, however, will make a few points to dismantle it with facts. Jammu and Kashmir was, is, and will always remain an integral and inalienable part of India. No amount of wishful rhetoric or audacious propaganda by Pakistan can alter the immutable fact that the accession of Jammu and Kashmir to India was completely legal and irrevocable, and in accordance with Indian Independence Act of 1947 and the international law. In fact, the only outstanding dispute regarding this region is the illegal occupation of Indian territories by Pakistan. We call upon Pakistan to vacate these areas which remain under its forcible occupation. Mr. President, it is indeed hard to take lectures on democracy from a country where civilian governments rarely complete their terms. They ring hollow. The record voter turnout in general elections and assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir is a testimony to the fact that people of Jammu and Kashmir have rejected the ideology of terrorism and violence propagated by Pakistan and are surging ahead on the path of development and democracy. Mr. President, if the Chenab rail bridge, the world's highest bridge inaugurated in Jammu and Kashmir last year, is fake, then Pakistan must be hallucinating or living in the La La Land. Or maybe Pakistan finds it unbelievable that the developmental budget of Jammu and Kashmir is more than double the recent bailout package they sought from the IMF. Mr. President, to conclude, despite Pakistan's efforts to destabilize the region through relentless state-sponsored terrorism, Jammu and Kashmir continues to surge ahead, politically, economically, and socially. Pakistan would do well if it focuses on fixing its deepening internal crisis than to mask them with grandstanding at such platform. The world can certainly see through its charade. Thank you.
Reliance Group Chairman Anil Ambani appeared before the Enforcement Directorate in Delhi today in connection with the money laundering case registered against him. The 66-year-old is being questioned by the ED in a case linked to the alleged bank loan fraud involving Reliance Communications. This comes a day after the business tycoon's Mumbai mansion worth 3,716 crore rupees was attached by the agency under the anti-money laundering law. A part of this property, worth 473 crore, was attached by the ED in November last year. Anil Ambani owns a 66-meter high building with 17 floors located in Pali Hill, one of the poshest areas in Mumbai. The luxurious residence boasts of all sorts of state-of-the-art amenities, complete with a helipad, a swimming pool, a gym and a large parking area. There's also a lounge where his collection of expensive cars is kept. Anil Ambani reportedly owns multiple luxury cars including Rolls-Royce, Lexus, Porsche, Audi and Mercedes-Benz. Interestingly, he had earlier told a UK court that he owns only one car. The Enforcement Directorate says its investigation has revealed that, among other assets, the Pali Hill property was aggregated into the Rise-E Trust, a private family trust of the members of Anil Ambani's family. This was done to make it appear as though Ambani is not involved. That's what the probe agency has said. According to the agency, RCOM and its group companies availed loans from domestic and foreign lenders, of which an amount of 40,185 crore is outstanding. The total value of the attachment in this case so far stands at just about 15,700 crore. Epstein files keep throwing up damning evidence of the involvement of some of the richest, most powerful and high-profile men in the world in convicted sex offender and pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Now, the World Economic Forum chief has resigned over alleged links with Jeffrey Epstein. Also, the latest pictures to have emerged are of late physicist Stephen Hawking. In these photos, he can be seen flanked by two bikini-clad women. Pictured reclining on a sun lounger with a cocktail in hand, the British theoretical physicist was steadied by one of the women who his family says were his long-term carers, necessary due to his need for round-the-clock medical support. The newly surfaced photo is believed to have been taken in 2006 during a science symposium at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, St. Thomas, where Hawking delivered a talk on quantum cosmology. He was one of 21 scientists who visited St. Thomas and Epstein's 75-acre private island, Little St. James, for the event. Hawking's family's representative has told the UK's Daily Mail that the two women seen in the picture were the late scientist's long-term carers from the United Kingdom. Any insinuation of inappropriate conduct on his part is wrong and far-fetched in the extreme. Hawking's groundbreaking work on black holes and general relativity reshaped modern cosmology. But the late scientist has been referenced at least 250 times in the US Justice Department's collection of Epstein files. Epstein files also mention Hawking after prominent accuser Virginia Giuffre alleged that the scientist had once participated in an underage orgy in the Virgin Islands. In response, Epstein offered a cash reward to anyone who could disprove her claim. Hawking had previously been photographed on Epstein's Caribbean island, though no image of him with Epstein has come up yet. Meanwhile, another high-profile man who is in the dock, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, recently spoke about his association with Jeffrey Epstein in a town hall meeting with employees of the Gates Foundation. Gates said that he did nothing illicit during his interactions with Epstein and did not stay overnight, although they met in several countries. He also told staff members that he had an affair with a Russian bridge player and a Russian nuclear physicist, and that his associate Boris Nikolic had discussed those relationships with Jeffrey Epstein. Bill and Melinda French, who once were co-chairs of the foundation, divorced in 2021. Politicians, academics and business executives have been implicated in the millions of pages of documents that the US Justice Department released a few weeks ago, leading some to resign from their public roles. That's all the time we have on this edition of Headlines at 8. Thanks so much for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow. Bye for now.